Hi, Bill here. So in my neighborhood here, we got a couple hundred acres of woods that's just kind of owned by the township, and it's got some trails on it, and they're not really maintained by anybody. And I've kind of taken on myself over the past decade or so to keep the trails nice and cleared so we can jog and walk and bicycle in them. And this is just kind of the equipment that I use to clear the trails. And you've got your saw and your wedges, and we'll kind of go over this as we go through here. But and safety equipment and chaps and extra chain and chain file and your helmet, and that's a bucket I throw some extra tools in. Right now it's got some maple seeds that I'll go plant in the woods here in a little bit. But the problem is, how do you carry all that stuff with you? And I've got a little ATV that I go out and use, and I've got buddies that they go find the most expensive rack made, and then they call the company and see if they could maybe get it, added accessories to make it cost more, and probably end up with something not quite as useful as what I got here. So what I want to show you is something I made years ago with maybe $20 worth of wood that I've used here. And let's go ahead and adding things on here, and you'll see how they all fit. Like I said, this is where I'll pick up beer cans or what have you and throw in that guy. This is the safety equipment, chaps and chain sharpener. I'll set that over there, and a couple of quick bungee cords on the back, and that's pretty straightforward. And I've seen a lot of people make little back racks like that. But it's this front rack that I'm pretty especially proud of. You see, we've got the chainsaw that you need to be able to get out real quick without fighting with. And if you look at this, just a little cut in the board there, a little cut in the board there, board across to stop it from sliding forward, and that chainsaw will come out with one hand, and it'll sit down in there, and it stays locked. I have never had anything fall off of this. And then of course you got your chainsaw. You're going to need some bar oil, and you're going to need a little gas, wreck gas of course, so I don't void out my warranty. And then we go ahead, and every once in a while when you're cutting stuff up on the trail, stuff gets real funky and weird, and you end up needing to kind of work with multiple devices because it's hard not to get your saw bound up and whatnot. So got the place to stick the axe in there, and it fits in there nice and solid. Can't go anywhere. And then I found that for clearing brush, an 18-inch machete works faster than about anything else. So I go ahead and I put that in there right next to the axe. And then anybody who's played around with trying to cut storm-felled trees knows one's laying on the ground, it's awful hard to tell which way it's going to bend and pierce. So I always carry some of these wedges with me, and I'll start my cut, hammer the wedges in, kind of protect myself a little bit, getting pinched. And I carry a splitting awl with me just in case. Put it right there, and well, you might have to adjust your chainsaw tool, so that goes right there. And you need your good pair of gloves. Goes right there. And then heaven forbid, even with some experience, you might get yourself caught up in the tree and can't get the chainsaw out. So and just kind of, I'll admit, probably for just as much aesthetic purposes, I put the old saw up front there. But all told, I can haul all that equipment. I've never lost anything out of it bouncing around. It's everything I need to go clear a trail. And just my little old cheap 250 two-wheel drive four-wheeler. And I've been using it for about 10 years like that, and been real happy. So I figure I'd pass along that if you've been trying to look at those chainsaw racks and whatnot for your ATV, there's a pretty quick and easy way to make one. And if you want to know how it's held down, it's just 4 simple U-bolts. There's kind of one up front there, and those U-bolts just go through and they attach to the rack. I've never had a problem with them loosening up or pulling through or anything because they got the flat spacer on the back so the bolt heads don't pull through. Same thing on the back. Got a U-bolts there. just one on each side in the back does it just fine. So there you go, some four-wheeler rack ideas.